If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night and suddenly everything feels harder, the decision you were solid on yesterday now feels uncertain, the deal that made sense now feels fragile, nothing changed, but inside your body, it feels like everything did. This happens to people making real decisions, not small ones, not hypothetical ones, and it almost always happens outside of business hours. There's a reason for that. And if you understand it, this moment stops being dangerous. What's interesting is that I hear about this moment constantly from founders, from executives, from people in mergers and acquisitions who get the late night call when a seller suddenly starts unraveling. Different industries, same timing, same physiology. So let's talk about what's actually happening. If we haven't met yet, my name is Kathie Owen. I work with leaders in high pressure environments where decisions carry real consequence. My work focuses on something most systems ignore: how the human nervous system behaves under threat and how that behavior quietly drives outcomes. This isn't about motivation, it's about decision stability. At night, the structures that keep us regulated disappear. There are no meetings, no distractions, no momentum. Cortisol rises. Thinking narrows. The nervous system starts scanning for danger. And if identity is involved, like selling a company, exiting a role, transferring responsibility, fear gets very loud. This is when people confuse fear with truth. They assume if I feel bad, something must be wrong. If I'm this uneasy, I should do something now. That assumption is where things go sideways. I want to pause here and say this clearly. This moment is not a flaw. It's not instability, and it's not a red flag. It is a predictable biological response to high stakes transition. Everyone experiences it. The difference is how it's handled. Fear is not the risk, reaction is. When fear shows up at 3 a.m., it feels urgent, it demands action, and it wants relief. That's when people rethink decisions, renegotiate unnecessarily, destabilize trust, and offload panic onto someone else. Often, that someone else is the M&A advisor. This is the part I care about deeply. Every M&A professional I've worked with has described this very moment. The seller calls late at night. Nothing changed in the deal, but internally, everything feels unsafe. Now, the advisor is holding fear, doubt, identity collapse, urgency, and most advisors were never trained for this. They were trained to manage deals, not nervous systems. So here's what actually helps. Preparation doesn't eliminate fear, it contains it. Here's what serious operators do, often without naming it this way. First, they normalize the moment in advance. They tell leaders, this is going to happen. Late at night, fear will spike. And that doesn't mean the deal is wrong. Expectation removes shame, and shame fuels panic. Second, they separate timing from decision making. They don't let overnight fear drive irreversible moves. Not because fear is bad, but because timing matters. Nothing irreversible should be decided when identity is stabilized. And third, they don't try to fix the fear in real time. They don't over-explain. They don't reassure excessively. They don't add more data. They help the person not act. Because panic doesn't need solving, It needs containment. The most important thing to understand is this: fear is information, not instruction. When leaders and advisors know that, the 3 a.m. moment loses authority. It still shows up, it just stops running the process. This is why I do the work I do, because this moment is everywhere, and almost no one prepares for it. When it's addressed early, advisors stop carrying it alone. Leaders stop interpreting fear as danger, and decisions regain their footing. I wrote a deeper piece on this with additional context and resources, and I've linked it in the show notes and description below. If this resonated, spend some time with that. And if you ever find yourself awake at 3 a.m. questioning everything, remember, the moment doesn't need solving, it needs containment. All right, that's my episode for today. I trust that you found it helpful. And if you know someone who could benefit from hearing this, please share it with them. And until next time, I'll see you next time on the Kathie Owen Perspective.